Welcome back to this Azure Kubernetes services. And in this, we'll see how we can integrate Azure Container Registry with an existing Azure Kubernetes services. Now, what is Azure Container Registry? As the name suggests, it means it is yet another container registry, which is part of Azure services where you can store your images and deploy any container from those images. Rather than using any public repository, you use your own private registry, which you can protect and restrict only within your business. So let's see how we can build that registry. Now, Azure Container Registry comes with a lot of different options. Now we'll create it using Azure CLI. Azure CLI is a command line utility which helps you connect with Azure and then work uh, in your Azure subscription. So I am doing here, I'm using the browser-based Azure CLI, which everybody has access to, whosoever can log into Azure portal. So once you log into Azure portal, you can also use something like shell.azure.com. That's going to go ahead and open something we call it Cloud Shell. And it has got almost all the tools and components installed which you can use. So I'm in the Cloud Shell right now at this point in time. And typically inside a Cloud Shell, you get everything. But what I have done is that I've created a machine, a virtual machine using Ubuntu the server, and then I have installed all the tools in that Ubuntu server so that I can use it from anywhere. So I'm inside my Ubuntu machine, and then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and create something from this machine. So you can see that I'm inside an Ubuntu machine. This is my Ubuntu desktop. All right. Now, if you want to create an ACR, first thing you need an ACR name. So let's use this ACR variable and give a name as Azure ACR AKS. Okay. If that name is uniquely available, then I'll be able to create an ACR by using that name. So I'm storing it in a variable. Now to create the ACR, you can say ACR create, and that takes few things. Now, if you are doing it for the first time, you might need this help, and this is quite helpful. So it takes you to this option name, and you can see these are all required option, resource group and SKU, that is SKU for that container registry. So we'll use the standard SKU, and then we'll also make it admin enabled just in case we need credential to log in from outside of Azure. So if we do that, what we can do now, we can actually uh, create this ACR. So let's use this name and all other things. So if you say create dash dash name or n, and then you pass on the ACR variable. I also have created another variable for group. So I'll use dash G. You can use dash dash resource group. Both are same, and pass on dash G. And then I need to provide the SKU. So you can say SKU equal to standard, and then you can say admin enabled. You have a couple of other options available, which you can figure it out from this list of options. So I've used admin enabled, I've used SKU, resource group, name. I should be fine if the name is available right now at this point in time. So it'll kickstart the ACR creation process, and it doesn't take very long period of time. So you can see that now ACR is getting created right now over here. So ACR is created. Now I get all the information over here about my ACR. Now what I also have is an AKS cluster. So just to show you that AKS cluster exists, so I can say AKS show minus n, and the name of the AKS cluster, I'm using a variable called AKS, and this is the group. So it will show you the AKS cluster, which is the AKS cluster I'm talking about. Now you can see that this AKS cluster gives me a bit more details. That's fine. Now I have got ACR, which is ACR AKS WG. Okay. Now I have got a couple of images in my local machine. So if I do that /images, I get to see the images, right? So you can see that one of the images is named as ACR AKS WG. Now, just to show you what I have done before, when I created the ACR, you'll find the name of the ACR. Okay, so this is the login server. That means the ACR which I have created in Azure. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this same ACR. Just remember the name, right? ACR AKS WG dot Azure CR .io. Okay, so if you see here in this image, which is locally available right now, ACR AKS WG. So just to verify, sorry, if the name is correct. So what I can do, I can just go on top, copy the name which I have over here, and then get it into my friend list. Okay, so if I go ahead and get this, you get to see that this ACR. So I'm bringing it here just to match the name if it is correct. So if I say that, now you can see that ACR AKS WG.AzureCR.io, this is matching, and that's the image I'm using. If I now, let's say, try to connect to this AKS cluster, I hope that it would connect. Now I need this alias kubectl, and if I now run this thing, it'll get me the nodes. If I say get pod, it'll get me the pod. Right now I do not have pod. Now let's create a pod from this image which is available in my AKS. Now if I try to do that, I say odd1 equal to image, just to show you that it is working, and I'm able to create a pod that creates a pod using Nginx. So if you say get pod, you will see the pod is running. The same way, if I want to create another pod called pod 2, but this time the image of the pod 2 will come from this ACR. Okay, but it says that pod is created. Now let's get into that thing. You can see that there is an error. What this error is really telling, there's a image pool error, but I don't know what exactly that means. So if I say k describe pod 2, it tells me a bit more details. And one of the things, if you see over here, it says that failed to pull the image, this one, and unauthorized 401. So which means that I am not able to log in to this ACR and get the image. Now there are couple of ways by which you can log into this ACR. One of the ways is that you can create a Docker secret in Kubernetes and then use that secret as your image pool secret in the pod definition file. Now, if you have both AKS and ACR in your Azure subscription, you can basically integrate them, have a handshake. So you can say that this is my ACR, this is my AKS. So when you pull the image from this ACR, don't ask for this, don't complain. Okay, so let's try to do that. Now, if I go ahead and say AZAKS update, now I pass on the name of the AKS cluster, that is AKS group, that is a group, and I say attach ACR, and that's where I can pass on this ACR value. So it's a simple command which says that go ahead and update this AKS cluster, what I have in my subscription, with the ACR which I have just now created. And you just need to provide the name of the ACR, not the fully qualified name, just the name of the ACR. That is ACR AKSWG, the name given by me, and you are attaching that ACR. Now notice here in the previous statement where I try to create the pod number 2, I get an error for unauthorized access. It's mainly because when you create an ACR, you don't have that ACR as a public registry. Essentially what it means that ideally you should be able to log in to that ACR by whatever means and then pull the image. Now in the context of pod definition or a YAML file, if you create an YAML file to generate the pod, you have an option to pass on a credential, that secret. And we can create that secret in the Kubernetes cluster called Docker secret. There is a specific type of secret where it takes the URL of the Docker hub server, the username and password, and generates a secret. And using that secret, you'll be able to log in and pull the image from any registry. Now, because we are using ACR at this point in time, in the same Azure subscription, we can associate that. So all the pain of us creating that secret and then using that secret in the pod definition is no more required. Now you can see that it is integrated. Now if I go ahead and run the same pod creation command, but this time let's use a different pod name because this pod exists. So if I say 3, it's going to go ahead and say created, but I don't believe it. So let's say k get pod 3. You see there is an error pull images. So what is that? Let us just check it out. Okay, describe pod 3. It again says unauthorized, which should not be the case, but let us go ahead and explore a bit more if the name and etc. is correct. Go into my subscription, go to container, registries, go inside that ACR AKS WG, and then I go to see the repositories. I don't have that image here. So let us do one thing. So this time you see here why I went here and then checked it out. It says failed to pull the image with this reference. Because I do not have this image, I cannot pull it. So let's see you do one thing. Let's use this ACR to log into my local machine. So one of the things you can do when you have a local image is that log into your console. So you can do Docker login and use your username and password to log in, or else you can say ACR login minus n. That's the name of the ACR. ACR AKSWG. Do that, then it logs in. Now you can say Docker push and you provide this image over here and you say v1. It's gonna go ahead and get pushed into that. So this doesn't exist. So let's just use the latest one. And it's gonna go ahead and push the image to the ACR we just now have created. Now this image should be in my ACR available as part of its repository. Now this time, if I let's say run the same krun command, that kubectl run command, it should be able to pull the image and create it. Now it will not complain because the credential and everything is taken care by associating my ACR with an existing AKS. That's the beauty, and that's the demo I wanted to show you over here. Now, if you just go back to the previous command where you can go ahead and create a pod number 4 using the same thing, and you say get pod, you see that container creating state has arrived, which essentially means that it's going to go ahead and try to create the container based on the image I have specified, right? So I put it in the watch mode and it'll change the status once the container will be created for pod number 4. However, the pod 2 and 3 still showing me error that it is unable to create. Now you can see that pod number 4 is up and running because it is now able to pull the image and there is no issue. So let's see what exactly happened behind the scene. So if I say describe pod 4, it shows that successfully pull this image and then the container is created. So which means now I have my image in my private registry, which is ACR, and it is connected to this Azure Kubernetes service. Hence, I'm able to pull the image. With this, I want to end here. Thank you very much for watching.